This is Comic Geek Speak, episode 88. Welcome to Comic Geek Speak. I'm Brian Deemer.
I'm Tasha.
I'm Kevin Moyer.
I'm Shane Kelly.
I'm Jamie D.
I'm Peter Rios.
We are sexy bitches, yeah!
Almost didn't know who we were there.
I keep forgetting.
This episode of Comic Geek Speak is brought to you by Drawer Boxes, the ultimate storage solution for your comic collection. You can check them out at collectiondrawer.com. Trust me when I tell you that they are the answer to all your storage needs. I am so happy with mine, and I know a bunch of people on our forum love them too. So get them.
Especially the guy who has like
180 of them or something.
John Mayo.
Yeah. The king of drawer boxes. We have two very exciting contests going on. You can find out about them on our website. So go look now. That's an order.
They're forum contests, right?
Yeah. We will be putting the link on the homepage too.
Okay.
Once Kevin finishes the graphic, you know. Not to put any pressure on you or anything, but
None taken.
You know.
Like water up a duck's back.
So, what are we doing, Peter?
You want to read some emails, or we just want to jump right into
You
it?
want to do some emails? Oh, I wanted to tell you, we watched Electra on, I don't know, Saturday night or Sunday night or something. And I was expecting a god-awful movie, and it was pretty good.
There were some aspects of it that really hit. That were better than Daredevil.
Yeah, I mean, the whole with Stick and the hand, and, I mean, it was great.
Stick was my favorite part of the movie. Along with her, but I mean, Stick added so much of a dynamic to that movie. It was what was really missing from Daredevil.
The tattoo guy was awesome. His power was great. Having tattoos that came alive, that was awesome. They had great special effects. I thought the plot at some points was kind of like,
Well, the whole business with the little girl, but...
Yeah.
But other than, I mean, the action sequences were great, and the characterization was pretty good, and, it wasn't half bad.
They only had a certain budget, so they can only do so much. So I guess I can kind of give it a little, because I thought, them taking care of those members from the hand was kind of quick and easy.
Right.
Like taking out Stone was, that was like, nothing, So that to me was a little, I guess, a letdown a little bit. But other than that, there were some aspects. I thought she captured a lot of the essence of the character, of having that loneliness and that have no attachment and being driven to do what she does. I thought I felt some of that. So, I think she captured a lot of that in the character. And Stick was just phenomenal. Some of them scenes were right out of the comic. That whole scene where he kicks her out of the chast, or the chast, however you pronounce it, was right out of Daredevil, right out of Frank Miller comic. And he played Stick the way you should play Stick. He was not this kind, and I don't know how you can describe it. He's very stern, and that's how he is in the comic. He takes no shit. He don't care who you are. He'll take control. And I thought he was, especially that scene in the bar, that just was awesome.
It was awesome.
So I have yet to see the director's cut. I don't know how much has changed and what they changed, what they added. But I'm anxious to see the director's cut to see what if they did anything that makes the movie a little different. I've heard that it doesn't do anything to the magnitude of what the Daredevil director's cut does for the movie. But I enjoyed it.
It wasn't a complete waste of time like I was led to believe it was. So that's the bottom line. Yeah, emails. Let me find some emails here. Don't everybody talk all at once.
Well, why don't you do your top 5, Kevin? Since we're talking about Electra, and I know she's got to be on your lists. I'm going to be disappointed if she's not.
So top 5 females?
Top 5
favorite
females. Is a specific order necessary?
No.
Okay. Well,
I want your third first.
Okay, my third first, or my first third, or my second.
Third base.
Jessica Drew, Spider-Woman, has always been one of my favorite characters. I used to read the series when it first came out back in the late 70s, and then when the cartoon was out in like 79. And I always kind of dug the character, and the thing that I was really interested in was kind of a mysterious thing. It wasn't something that was, a ripoff of Spider-Man, so that was refreshing, because that's what I was so afraid of. And there was a lot of elements to her. The mysteriousness of it was kind of cool. There's a lot of characters in there that, that Moon Knight's background has in it with the Werewolf by Night and things like that. So that kind of has that feel for it. So there's reasons for me for liking the character as well. But two of my all-time females were Black Widow and Electra. I love those two characters. Black Widow, when she first, to me, was introduced in Amazing Spider-Man. It was an issue 83? 82, 83. And I was like, wow, this chick's cool. I got to learn more about her. And then when she appeared in Daredevil, in the Gene Colan issues, and then they went to San Francisco. That was one of my favorite arcs ever in Daredevil. And then when they brought Electra in, she had those elements too, but it was different. She wasn't the same as a Black Widow. Black Widow had kind of like this sexy, sensuous spy kind of thing, like a Bond thing, and Electra had this total different take on as a female character. But both of them I really enjoyed. So I'd have to say those two are like tied for my top ever female characters. Fourth was Storm from the X-Men. And I guess to kind of classify that more so is like the Claremont Byrne issues of X-Men, because in there the way she was handled and presented was kind of very cool with being the goddess from Africa, and they played up on that aspect. She was respectful, and you had that element of her that when she was in the room, you kind of felt that presence about her. And then also Sue Storm. I really like Sue Storm as a character. At first, in the Fantastic Four, she was kind of like there. But I give credit to Byrne. He really fleshed her out as a really predominant character and made her come to the forefront rather than being in the background. And that's when I really kind of gave into that character. So.
No Supergirl?
Well,
in a top 10, maybe?
Well, yeah, absolutely, without a doubt. The thing that kind of holds that back for me is because of the whole thing behind it. There's so much going on with that character. It's like I can't nail one character because it's not one character anymore.
Right.
And that's what takes it away from me. I love the character of Supergirl. I love the element of it, even though it takes away from me, because when I think of Superman, it's a less than a Krypton. There should be no other. But I do enjoy her as a character, and I'm anxious to read when she's in, but I just can't. If it would be something that they would just finish and start fresh, which is kind of what I thought they were doing in Batman Superman, and now that's kind of leaning towards you don't know, and I'm kind of like, So it kind of takes away from it for me. Otherwise, it would be there, because I think there's a lot of potential in that character. It's just that it got so kind of convoluted. It subtracts from the character rather than adds from the character. So I wish they would clear that up. I wish it would, do what they have to do with it. If it works in Infinite Crisis to nullify it and start it, and this is it. This is the Supergirl. If they can somehow explain it, I'm all for it. But until that happens, it kind of just pulls away from it, takes away from the special aspects of the character that could be to make her a really good female character. There's lots of good female characters out there, but those are the ones that I'd have to say that I focus on first. KO?
Email?
I'm working on it.
You had all that. You haven't found one yet.
Settle down.
No pressure.
This one is from Tim Brown. He says he just finished absorbing your new podcast, and your discussion about the graphic novels of the 1980s really threw me on a nostalgia trip. I have a lot of these books on my shelf and still enjoy reading them today, especially my favorites, God Loves, Man Kills, Emperor Doom, and Love and War. But what really got me thinking was the comment somebody made about why DC or Marvel do not publish the Treasury side Treasury-sized graphic novels anymore. I was thinking the exact same thing the other day. Once the Deanie Ross books finished, that was it. I absolutely loved those books. Alex's artwork never looked better. I agree they should do 1 or 2 a year, make it special, but most of all, make it accessible to the casual reader. Don't tie it up to continuity so that you would have to read 20 books to understand the Treasury. I'd know I'd pick them up. Well, I think we all agree with that.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, it's kind of, when he says treasuries, I think of the old Treasury Editions, which were more than basically just reprints of stories that they put together in a volume. And I used to really enjoy those as well. But the graphic novels, I do agree, they should get into doing more of those and support that. I think people will buy them.
We got another one from Alan in Orlando. He says, I just started listening to your podcast, and I think they're great. Your discussion of pull lists in episode 81 reminded me of my own experience with a local shop in Miami. The shop required a deposit for different sizes of pull lists. I had a small pull list, so my deposit was $5. I only felt strong loyalty to 4 books, so my list was that short. At some point, the store decided to crack down on subscribers who wouldn't pick up their books. So they required people to show up regularly or sacrifice their books. I showed up every month, but apparently the shop was expecting weekly visits. One day, when my friend stopped by to pick up some cards, I asked him to grab my books, which turned out to be gone. Why would I show up every week if my titles weren't there yet? The store's reply was, you could call. The comic store is not my girlfriend. I was so infuriated. There I was passing up books on my list when I was out of town, and my store acts like I don't love it enough. Needless to say, we broke up, and I've never committed to another pull list. That's a little... I mean, if you only get 4 books, how do they expect you to come in weekly? It's silly.
And then to put a deposit down yet besides.
Yeah.
$5, heck, that almost pays for the books.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you did put a deposit, then shouldn't they hold them for a while? Because you already paid for them?
Yeah, that's what a deposit is.
Yeah.
It's a down payment.
I think once a month is more than enough to expect somebody to come in for their books. I mean, there were some people we knew when I was first there that we knew every 6 weeks, boom, they would be there. They would pick up everything in their slot. Plus, they would pick up 10, 12 titles off the rack. So we didn't mind as long as we knew you were going to come in, and that's really all any store can ask. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I've never heard of a store requiring a deposit for a pull list. That's the first time I've ever heard something like that.
I've heard of some of them, but it's to me that's in extreme cases. It's if it's gotten stuck before from a person, I could see doing something like that, or taking like their credit card number, getting a credit card number, and then if they don't come in, boom, they charge their credit card and then send them the books on top of that. That's one way to handle people who come in chronically late.
I mean, I don't think that having a deposit, I mean, if you open a subscription and you pay $20 or whatever, just to kind of, in the case that you stiff them with most people when I worked at the comic shop had way more than $20 in their slot. So if they did decide to just not show up, after months and months and months, the $20 does not even come close to covering what's in there, but at least it takes a dent out of it. And then the day when you say, hey, I want to cancel my subscription, they hand you your $20 bill back, and you go on your way. I mean, I don't think that would be unreasonable.
Well, I know a store in New York that they do kind of like what Borders does, where they have, doesn't Borders or Barnes & Noble, they have like a plan that you pay and you get a certain amount of discount over the year or something like that?
Right. Yeah.
Something like that,
Yeah,
right?
Barnes & Noble does that.
Okay, so at this store there were like 4 tiers, and if you wanted to sign up for each of them, they're all a pool list. So the lowest one gives you a pool list and like 10% discount and I think a free previews every month. And then the next level gives you all of that, but maybe like a little bit higher discount. Then the third one gives you maybe the same discount, but also throws in a free wizard as well as the free previews. And then the last one is like, I don't know, just everything but even a higher discount yet. Something like that. It was like based on that kind of thing. And it was a way for them to generate money, beforehand. And I've even heard of some stores, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Didn't Golden Eagle, even if you ordered stuff special like 2 months ahead of time, you had to pay for it at one time? Wasn't there that whole... it just was just for like a little while?
I think they toyed with that for a little bit,
Yeah.
and it was only for people, again, that may have stiffed them or they weren't sure if they were going to like it. I had suggested that, something like that, to him, to the owner a while ago, back when like Walden Books had their discount thing. Because there were people that would come in, and this was always a pain in the ass, because there were people that would come in who would deal with the owner, and the owner would choose to give them a discount. Well, then they figured they got a discount from everybody.
Right.
And they come, well, Lem gave me a discount. Well, you can't really argue with them. And you can, but then you take the chance of this guy going back to the owner and the owner getting pissed at you for not giving him a discount. So I had suggested doing something like that, and we even had a card, like a Golden Eagle discount card, that, if you paid $10 at the beginning of the year, you got 10% discount on everything across the board, and everything in the store, and it never really went anywhere. But I think I like what you said about that store, that they have like a different tiers of discount, and the more you're willing to pay that store to help that store out, the more they're willing to give you, because really, when you think about it, it's taking away from their profit margin.
Sure.
Plus, that has to benefit the store.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it would help people follow through, with things that they have ordered, or also, make them more enthused about coming into the store, knowing that they're going to, get that discount on everything that they have in the store.
It works for me with Best Buy. I have that Reward Zone card.
Yeah, I have one too.
You pay $10 and you get, after you spend like $125 at the store, you get a $5 gift certificate to Best Buy. So for every $250 you spend, you get your $10 back. So then you're even for the year. And then if you spend, $375 at Best Buy over the course of the year, you made $5, right? And now normally, you end up buying something for a couple $100 at Best Buy, and then it pays for itself on the first purchase. Like when we bought a refrigerator for $800, then we ended up getting $20 for the gift certificates or something. So,
plus, when you buy Christmas presents, I buy Christmas presents there for people, a lot of stuff.
And that's what I mean. And so if I'm going to buy like a DVD, I go, well, if it's the same price at Walmart or Best Buy, I'm going to go to Best Buy and get it, because I get $20 towards my next $5 gift certificate. So of course I'm going to do that. So if you have that kind of thing, it encourages people to go there and buy stuff.
I should have gotten one of those the last year.
Yeah, did you get the iPod there?
iPod box sets of TV shows, cartoons, and shit. God.
Yeah.
Keep going.
I can't believe you didn't have it. That's surprising.
Yeah, I've had one for, I think, 3 years now, and I love it.
The best was I had it, and I used to have to go buy stuff for work. And one day we went in there, and I had to buy like over $1,000 worth of merchandise, and and then I just sat back at home and watched my gift certificate show up. I was like, "Yay, all right!"
That's awesome.
All right, we got an audio comment, email. So here we go.
Hey guys, from one geek to some others, I just wanted to say hi and thank you guys for an awesome show. My name is Wayne Cordova. I'm known as the Geek Pastor from the Geek Pastor podcasts that combines a lot of all things geeky with some spiritual content as well. A lot of fun. Give it a chance. Give it a look. It's geekpastor.com, and it's the Geek Pastor podcast. But anyway, I wanted to drop a line to, man, I really enjoy you guys' show. It's a lot of fun, really informative, and I kind of feel like I'm right there with you guys in some of the stuff that you're saying. So I figured maybe I'd provide you a topic if you wanna take the hook, okay? Here's something I've been thinking, and I've actually taken several books off my list because I've just noticed that some things are a little sloppy in some of the writings, and I don't know if sloppy is the right word, but discuss amongst yourselves and tell me if you think this is true. I think that a lot of books, whether it's Marvel or DC, especially those two companies, I think they take a lot of their books and they draw out the storylines way too far. And my term that I think, I maybe didn't make it up, but this term that I use is that they're writing for the trade. And I feel like these guys, they write and they say, hey, if we can make this storyline stretch 5 issues, 6 issues, then we got a trade on our hands. We could sell it for more money later on. And one of the books that really kind of frustrates me with that is Ultimate Spider-Man. I feel like that there's just way too much babble going on. And I realize that Bendis is that kind of writer, but he's done better. And I think he did better in the early part of Ultimate Spider-Man. But I think there's just a whole lot of extra babble, a lot of extra pages, a lot of extra things. One of those things is Ultimate Fantastic Four, just another example. I just feel like that it took them a stinking year to even slap a 4 on their shirts. You know what I mean? And it's like, whatever happened to the great 1 to 2 issue origin storylines to get the whole thing moving? And it just, it just went on and on. So I feel like a lot of comics right now, a lot of writers are writing for the trade, and there's a whole lot of extra fluff and not a lot of substance. Talk amongst yourselves and let us know what you think. Hey, once again, man, my name is Wayne Cordova. I'm the Geek Pastor from the Geek Pastor podcast, found at geekpastor.com. Thank you guys for the time. And out of 5 possible frickin' swears, I give your show a 6. That's right.
I guess that's frickin' swear exclamation point.
Oh my goodness! All right,
And there you have it.
Well, I think we've touched on that before.
Yes.
I couldn't tell you what episode. I'm sure if you go in our episode search and type
Quite a
trade,
few.
Yeah, we've talked about it more than once.
we definitely agree that there are writers writing for the trade.
And again, don't always say the writers, because a lot of times it's editorial as well.
That could be too. Although some of us in the room don't think it's quite as much of a problem as others. Peter, I mean, you think it's a big problem, and you don't.
No, there's a difference between because I like storylines. Like when Judas Contract came out, and you can consider Dark Phoenix Saga and what's the Legion of Superheroes one, the Great Darkness Saga. I like series within a series. Things that take 4 issues, 5 issues, 6 issues. And then there was like a year, like all of a sudden every title had to have another title in with the series, and it became less special. Same thing with like, when prestige format books were special books. Now everything's prestige format when it comes to like miniseries or stuff like that. So I like series within a series. I like things that, that I know it's going to be 6 issues. But there's a difference between really making each issue worth it as a monthly reader, which I am, or making it so that as I'm reading it month to month, and then I go back later and read it all in one shot, I go, oh, this story was meant to be read in one shot. That's where I have the problem. I really don't. It's not. I don't mind writing for the trade if it's done well. If you really feel like you're getting each issue's worth, because as I said, that's how I'm looking at it, monthly, not in a trade format. So I love story arcs.
I didn't mean that you didn't like story. I think you find more comics that you think shouldn't have been stretched out.
Sure.
Than I do. That's what I was saying.
Right.
There almost aren't any that I say, it should be shorter. I just read and go, well, that was a great story.
Well,
I don't think about it.
Because you read consistently in the trade, and
right.
that's where you get that whole thing.
I think I agree with Peter. I don't mind stories within a storyline, stories within a series. I think one thing was Grant Morrison's new X-Men run. The first story arc there read better for me at one sitting than it did issue to issue. And but I think each issue counted. It didn't feel stretched out to me.
Yeah. I mean, like, did everybody here read Ultimate Nightmare, the first miniseries? Because that's the one I pick on the most, where I say that it's Warren Ellis, and I forget who did the artwork, and it's 5 issues. It could have been 64 pages. It really could have. I mean, if you break the plot down of that one, something crashed, they went to go seek it out, they found it. That's really all that happened, and it took 5 issues to... So that's the one I pick on the most, because it's, it wasn't even that the stuff in between really helped you to understand. That's my problem. If it doesn't really help you to flesh out the whole story or make you understand why things are going on, and it's just things that happen, and when I'm done with it and I go, what happened? That's where I have a problem with it.
Do you think the whole Ultimate Galactus storyline that is going on would have been better to do it as a 12-issue thing rather than 3
one
different
consistently?
Yeah, it's 3 different series,
right? Mm-hmm.
But it's one story,
right?
So you think by putting in 3 different series that you feel that one first series was kind of drawn out a little bit to make it more of a series?
I get maybe. I mean, we talked about this before, that companies love their number ones, so
sure.
there's a way to do that. I don't know. I haven't read the second one because the first one turned me off so much.
The second one was brilliant.
Oh, see, and I didn't give
love
it a
the
chance
second
because I was so disappointed with the first one.
And see, that's the thing. It's hard because even
Right.
though it's the same writer, those two stories are two different reads.
Right.
The first, I agree with you. The first arc was good, but it wasn't like mind blowing. It wasn't like great. The second one was just brilliant, and so to me, I love the second part. Now I'm curious to see what happens with the third part if it all kind of flushes into it and comes to fruition. So
I definitely agree with Kev. It was, and that was my complaint about House of M, where the first part of that was just build up for one word, and you got that word in the last issue where they could have, it was one of those typical, we put two teams together, they fight, they do this, blah blah blah, and it could have easily been told in 3 issues, maybe 4 instead of 6.
I just want to chime in on that real quick because when we were having this discussion the first time, I forgot to say it. I think this is a difference in storytelling from the older days. I don't think that 6 issues of House of M or 8 issues of House of M should have been any fewer number of panels. I just think that some of those panels could have been smaller because, instead of having 9 panels on a page and telling the same amount of story in one comic versus 2 comics, now we have this cinematic movie style where everything's big. So I think every panel was necessary. It's just that we've read so many old comics where they put so much more on one page. It could have reduced it to 4 issues instead of 8. But then you sacrifice this cinematic style of storytelling. So which way do you want it? You know what I mean? That's all.
Well, I mean, when you look at Brian Hitch on Authority, he gave you all that stuff, but I never felt that those stories were... Well, I mean, I guess that's different because... Well, no, it's Warren Ellis. It's kind of the same.
I never felt that they were stretched out. I thought that they were worth that cinematic look.
Or even the Ultimates, when you look at each issue of that, each issue tells a story and kind of... But has this overall theme.
See, and that's a good way to compare it because you look at a 12 or 13 issue run of Ultimates and compared to 3 series, of this Ultimate Galactus book.
Oh, right.
You see what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Can it be executed that way and have more of an impact and be a better story, even though you have instead of having 3 number 1s and having 3 different series?
Right.
To me, I agree. I think I'd rather have it as a 12-issue series, and I think you could accomplish more with it, and I think it would be a lot more pleasant to the audience.
And I also don't think that there is a place for stories that are written this way.
Absolutely.
I mean, obviously people really dig Supreme Power and the way that's a slow building thing. And when I went into that, I went, okay, as a monthly reader in this, I'm kind of not feeling it, and that's okay because I understand that there are people who did like that way it was told.
Yeah, I didn't either. I gave up on that after a while. It bored me.
So how many issues came out? I don't know, like 7, 8, and I was reading it monthly, and then I may have read like maybe 5 issues, and I stopped. And then maybe 3 or 4 more came out, so I read the whole entire thing, and I went, okay, there's for my taste, that story now.
The payoff.
Yeah, but as a monthly reader, it didn't pay off for me. So right. I didn't have a problem with that. Well, no, I guess I did because I dropped the book. It didn't read right for me. I totally understand that there's stories like that, but...
And see, you mentioned a book like that, and those are some of the books that got me into buying trades versus buying monthly series.
Right.
Because I enjoy reading them as a whole rather than reading them as a monthly book.
Right.
So that's what pushed me into buying more trades than buying monthly issues. And to me, it's a much better story. Mm-hmm. When I can sit down with a hardcover and read 12 issues right in a row, it's great. But you take that and segregate it into 12 separate issues, it's a slow read, especially getting them one a month or maybe more than a month in between.
Sure, yeah. Which just goes back to, what we said before in graphic novels. Why not release some of these as graphic novels? Why not create a title that, instead of doing all these miniseries like JLA Classified, you throw a miniseries into a series, and so you don't feel like you're being not forced to buy it, but you can either buy it or not buy it.
Well, and see, overall, I kind of feel they're still kind of getting a feel for what sells and what people want and what they don't want, and you're not going to have 100% satisfaction, but I'm kind of enjoying all the different aspects, all the different ways they are presenting some things. Some things work so solid in monthly comics, and some things work so solid in a complete story, a complete format.
It's funny you put it that way, Peter, with JLA Classified, because they did stick, I can't believe it's not the Justice League's second miniseries in that series, just so they didn't have to have another miniseries.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, that I like that they're not creating just another miniseries. We talked about this before about just stick them in there. That's fine.
Well, I'd like to see like everyone talks about Teen Titans games, and who knows when or if that's ever going to come out. I'd love to see that come out. Just the fact that it's a good 64-page, just like
more than that. I think it's like 90-something.
90-something, like JSA JLA's
Virtue and Vice.
Virtue and Vice. That was great. You don't get to see that enough anymore.
He's talking about back in 89, 90 or something like that. Wolfman and Perez did an original New Teen Titans graphic novel called Games, and it was, left to the wayside, and there's like maybe 70 pages of all different levels of pencils, inked pencils, non-inked, and then they're supposedly supposed to go back to that, and Perez is working on it, we think, and obviously he's had other things come in between, so who knows when we'll see that.
I just was reading in the newest issue of CBG, issue number 1614, there's an interview with Dan DiDio, and there were a couple things I wanted to spotlight, which I think explains exactly what we've been trying to communicate about why DC is doing such a bang-up job right now with their whole thing. And he was talking about, how they had the secret meetings with Greg Rucka, Jeff Johns, and Judd Winnick, and they sat down and they were plotting the whole 3-year saga that ends up with Infinite Crisis and 52 and everything. And he says, the best part is that we started building things with such leeway, with enough running time, that we were able to sit down and talk with the other writers and discuss it with other writers. And the great thing about the people we work with, when somebody like Gail Simone comes in and joins us, or a Mark Waid, or a Grant Morrison, what happens with these people is that they want to participate. They want to enjoy these things. They want to be a part of it all. It's important to get a chance to discuss it so that everybody has time to be able to execute the story properly and have much better flow in what they do. You need that time. You don't want to say, hey, next week you're going to have this giant crossover with 20,000 books and you have to work in 50,000 characters. Oh, you're in the middle of a major storyline? That's okay. You don't mind. Go. And I thought that, because sometimes we feel that way with crossovers, like the writers just get screwed and have to suddenly, any time. And that's why it felt not forced and so organic, was that they had years to plot ahead and to work these bits into their storyline. And there was another section. He's talking about 52. He says, and on top of that, I've got the incredibly talented J.G. Jones doing the covers. And J.G. is not only providing all 52 covers for the entire series, he's also telling a story in the covers, and he's hiding little Easter eggs in every cover, too. So again, it adds to the whole excitement. And one thing also on top of this, which I'll say for the first time ever, on 52, there will also be little special features in the back of each issue, something to excite the fans even more and show the overall compass and scope of the DC universe. So we don't really know what that means, but it's something else to look forward to. So it was a really good article overall, and really shows that he loves what they're trying to do with the DCU, and the thoroughness that they're doing it.
That article says he came from television. Did he read comic books before that, like as a kid, and grew up with them?
So. It sounded like that from when he talked at Wizard World Philly. It
seemed to me like he did, but they never mentioned it in that article, and I thought it was funny that they talked about where he came from before taking over DC was all this television stuff, but never said that he actually read comics when he was a kid and just loved getting back into it in that way.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to go and do a spotlight, as we did with JSA. And this time we're going to switch to Marvel, and we're going to do Captain America. When I listened or thought about some of our episodes, we've talked about the new Captain America, the Brubaker run, and Epting. But we haven't really talked too much about Captain America as a character through the ages, and why he's important to maybe some of us, and what he means to the Marvel Universe. So I thought, he, to me, anyway, this is my own personal opinion, I think he is the main solo hero when I think of Marvel. When I think of Marvel, I think of, all right, who's the big dog? Captain America. That's to me. I don't know if anybody else feels that way or not. So I figured we might as well start with him. He's probably the first Marvel character that became. He was the big one. Like when he came out, it was like boom, there it is. There's Marvel. So how does everybody else feel?
I agree with you in the essence that when I think of the big companies, to me, the first character I think of DC is Superman, and Captain America is with Marvel, and they're both synonymous with that iconic status and that metaphor for morality, the symbolism. They're each equal in characters that way, not in essence of powers or anything with them as individuals, as their secret identities or whatever, but as characters themselves, as symbols, as metaphors for morals.
The place such. In the universe, in their universe.
They share that status quo, and are representatives, I feel, for each company. And that's how I view
I agree with that. When I think of Captain America, I think all the other heroes in Marvel look to him for their lead. Just as in Kingdom Come, it's always said that Superman was, if he didn't do anything, nobody else would follow or start. And I feel that way with Captain America. If he doesn't take charge and say, okay, let's do it, everyone's going to wander around for a little bit and figure out, well, who's going to take charge first. But he steps up and he does it, and everyone just follows him without hesitation.
I mean, he's a natural-born leader. I mean, with his training and with who he is and what he's experienced, having, the man of two eras, under his belt, so to speak, him as a character is a presence to the other heroes, not just to us as readers, but to the other heroes. And to write a successful book, especially a successful Captain America book, that's how he should be written. When he walks into a room, people stop and take notice. Not because of his flashy costume, it's because it's Captain America. And one of the things that really I kind of nailed it for me was in Daredevil, actually, in the Born Again series.
Oh, yeah.
When, the Avengers came in at the end when he was fighting Nuke, and Frank Miller stated as a voice that could command gods. And then you see Thor, and so the whole thing was like basically the Avengers came in, Cap told everybody what to do, and everybody just followed suit, and as they normally do. And that one statement kind of really nails of the essence of what Captain America is, to me.
For me, it's always been the origin of Captain America that has gotten me. The fact that, and I'm not spoiling anything because I can't imagine there's anybody out there who knows doesn't know the origin. The 98-pound weakling who couldn't make it. He wanted to serve his country, couldn't make it in the army. They had the super soldier program. Takes the super soldier serum and becomes super soldier. Again, all this alliteration just drives me crazy. But anyway, and then thus the everyman could become the soldier or the person he wanted to be. So that always spoke to me as an everyman wanting to excel. He got that chance. He made the most of the chance. And then plus he's just the ultimate hero. He's the good guy. He's never. I mean, yeah, he's had battles of consciousness. They've had him have battles of consciousness lately over some of the things he's been doing, some things that have been going on in the world, and it's only natural. I mean, to me, especially after 9/11, that they would have him have some of these battles with himself. Could I have done more? What can I do in this world? I am the the ultimate message of the United States, what can I do, or freedom, what can I do in a world of terrorism, so on and so forth. But that's the one thing I always loved about this character. You never had to worry, was he going to, if you wound up killing the guy, it was because that was the only, and he's killed, that was the only answer left. He couldn't, he's exhausted every other possibility, and he's just the ultimate good guy. There was just something about him that, man, I wanted to follow Cap. I mean, I wanted to be in the Avengers, and I wanted Cap to tell me where to go and go into battle with this man, because you knew you were going to come out on the winning side. And Cap has just always been that hero for me. I've loved him since I started reading comics. The Avengers, as a lot of you know, is my favorite book, and he's always been there. He's usually been the one main character that usually stays in most of the incarnations of the Avengers. So, and it's just a great. I've gone back and I've read some of the Kirby Simon stuff, and it's it's like reading comics from another era, but still it's Cap. You're reading Cap. It's just a character that has not changed. He's just that rock solid hero, and that's what I love about Captain America.
I'm going to read something from Jack Kirby. He says, "He was our big creation," meaning Kirby and Simon. "He symbolized an entire period. In fact, he symbolized things which lasted for many years. He went through all the heartaches and all the joy that particular era symbolized. I saw Captain America as a real person, as a guy under stress, as a guy with exuberant moods. I happen to love the average guy. And if you read any of my Captain Americas, you'll find it all reflected in the strip. Captain America was very, very real."
It's kind of like that everyman kind of thing, like you said, Jamie, is that you could kind of put yourself in his shoes. Just like with Spider-Man was like, he had the full-face mask. Anybody could be behind that mask. You could be behind that mask. Mm-hmm. But it's that sense of morals. It's that sense of, because that's how he's based on. Like what you said about the origin is what I kind of like about it, is that, he went to join the army to take up, and at that time, war was different than what we, as a generation of war.
War was really fought for your freedom.
Exactly.
For danger of losing freedom.
And you wanted to be part of it. You wanted to do something about it. And, you see a character like him who is not able to get in, not to be accepted by standards. But he gets a second chance, and he gets an opportunity to do what he wants to do, even though that physically he's not accepted by the normal standards. And so he perseveres, because he could have just walked away and said, oh, well, I can't do anything about it, so, I'll stay on the home front and do what I can here. No, he persisted. He wanted to go through with it. So it builds a great foundation for morality for the character. And that's what I think is successful for a Captain America book. If you don't have the essence of Captain America in a book, it doesn't matter who you throw at him, doesn't matter what stories you write. If you don't have that presence of Captain America, it won't work in his book. And it's been proven in some of the story arcs and some of the writers that have taken over the character. It just doesn't work. Right. And I was kind of disappointed with the Marvel Knights Captain America when they kind of held it off because of 9/11, and then he wanted to utilize his symbolism and his take on things. And I thought it was kind of lackluster because they kind of missed the point with it. And whereas a character like that, they could capitalize on something like that, and they missed the mark with it. And I think that's why Brubaker's Cap is different, because he doesn't try to focus on one central aspect. He utilizes Captain America as a character and knows all the fundamentals of that character and utilizes the capabilities of him. And when that's done, Cap is one of the best comic characters you'll ever read.
For anybody who doesn't know, he was created in 1941 by Jack Kirby and Joe Simon. Simon initially considered calling him Super American, which I thought was interesting. Just some other tidbits. Cap's triangular shield was changed to its current disc shape because the publisher of the rival Shield company complained about design similarities. Future Marvel Comics editor-in-chief Stan Lee broke into print writing a Captain America text story in 1941. And he was revived in 1963 when he joined the Avengers. He's the first Golden Age superhero to debut in his own title without first being tested in an anthology. So like how Superman was in action, Batman was in detective before they got their own books, Captain America was in Captain America comics. So that's kind of a cool little tidbit.
I never used to like Cap at all. Same with Superman, until recently, I think. Because I used to think they were always so one-dimensional, just, oh, I'm going to be a good guy, and I'm going to save the day, and that's all I ever do. And then now with some of the new stories coming out about both characters, they start to realize that, you know, they're deeper than that. And as a kid, neither of them held any interest for me whatsoever, and it's only really in the last 2 years that either of those characters I've cared about in any way, shape, or form. So, but there's some good stuff coming out based on those characters now. So
plus, I would go back and try to get some of the old stuff. I mean, there's a great, and I know everybody's gonna roll their eyes because they know I love John Byrne, but there's a great John Byrne run.
The Roger Stern John Byrne.
Yeah,
it's one of my favorite comic. If you talk about, you know, a run between creators, it's one of the best ones in comics ever.
Yep. I mean, there were just some great stuff with like Union Jack and Iron Blood.
When were those issues? Or?
Those were.
That was in the 80s.
Yeah.
And it was issues 247 up to issue 255.
Yeah. I have them, Brian. So I'll
and it's in a trade.
I'll bring the trade in and let you.
They do have it collected in a trade.
It's like War and Remembrance or something
yes,
in that line.
Yes. Which the neat thing about the trade was, which is one of the things that I used to love about getting trades back in the day, was that their run was supposed to continue past issue 255.
Yeah, and they have those.
And
pages.
It was an editorial thing that came and shook them down. They wanted to try to. I think the story was they wanted to try to shrink stories. They didn't want long stories in comics. They only wanted 1 issue, 2 issue stories, and they had more issues plotted out to do like a couple issue stories, you know, and stuff. And everything they did was successful. Mm-hmm. You know, with the Baron Blood, bringing back the Invaders characters with Union Jack and Cobra and Hyde, Dragon Man. I mean, you know, some of these characters that you wouldn't even think would take seriously, yet alone.
Batroc the Leaper.
Yeah, it was great.
This was 1980.
And
I'm looking on comicbookdb.com. They're all in there.
Was that early?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what they did was they actually were working on issues after 255, and Byrne started drawing issue 256, and that's when everything went down. So in the trade paperback, they published the penciled pages that Byrne did for issue 256 that never saw print.
That's cool.
That is cool. And see, that's what I loved about it. You know, trades to me used to be like DVDs, where you used to get little Easter eggs, you know, little extra things, little something different, you know. And they've kind of lost that a little bit.
Plus, I'm sorry.
But no, I'm just saying that's one extra positive thing to, you know, in acquiring the trade. If you want to go check this out, that you know you kind of get a little Easter egg there as well.
And for me, another great run is can't think of the writer, but it was Mike Zeck and like right up to 300. Was it still Stern? No, I guess it wasn't Stern.
No, that wasn't Stern at the time. That was.
That was Zeck when he fought the Red Skull?
Yeah.
That was Zeck?
Yep, that was Mike Zeck.
Yeah, Zeck was on for a couple of years as penciler. He was solid for quite some time. It was Zeck and John Beatty.
Yeah, it was like like Peter said, like a 2 or 3 year run that they built up to like the ultimate showdown between Cap.
Yeah, because that's actually where I started
Red Skull.
Reading when they had Red Skull's daughter and she was the head of the Sisterhood of something. I forget.
Yeah. Are you saying right before issue 300?
Yeah.
Issue 299 was written by J.M. DeMatteis.
Pull up like in the 280s, you know, 280s, anything in the 280s or so. But yeah, I mean, like that iconic cover from Annual Number 8 with Wolverine fighting Captain America. That was Mike Zeck. You know, that was part of that run at that time.
What do you want, 280?
Yeah, anything in the 280s. Just see what.
That was when annuals meant something.
Exactly. Yeah. Which I'm glad to see that they're coming back. Yeah, it's J.M. DeMatteis
and Mike Zeck. Yeah.
So that was a good run. Yeah. And also, if you're going to go back further, back into the 70s, is Steve Englehart run on Cap for a while was pretty damn good.
The Cap and Falcon.
Yeah, Cap and Falcon, and then you know that's when he became Nomad. You know, and there was that storyline, and also Marvel has. Put in trade, I guess it's the Mad Bomb series, which was when Jack Kirby came back in the 70s to Marvel. And, I mean, you look at the credits in that storyline. Written, drawn, inked, lettered, I think it was edited. You know, it was all Jack Kirby. He did everything, you know. And so there's some great points of the history of Captain America. You can find some really cool, you know, spotlights that I think you really enjoy.
Mark Waid did a nice run for a little while there. I mean, unfortunately, when it was one of those where he did a run, they went to the whole Heroes Return thing, and then he did the run when they came back, and that run when they came back just never captured the lightning they caught in the bottle that first run.
What about the? Do you guys remember? Because this was, other than what we were talking about, the issues up to 300, and a random Secret Wars 2 issue where he was fighting the armadillo. I picked up the 4-issue Adventures of Captain America with Kevin Maguire art, Fabian Nicieza writing it. I believe. God, that was good.
It was very good.
It was like a fleshing out of his origin. Added some new things to it, and
gave more background. There was some more World War II stuff to it. It gave him more of a training period.
Also touched on his personal life too beforehand too, which I thought was neat.
I mean, everything of the aspect of Captain America, that origin, which is so small, was fleshed out into 4 prestige format books, which I think were 48 or 64 pages each.
Probably 48. I think
48.
48 apiece. And it is. The art's brilliant.
Yep.
Story's wonderful. I mean, it's just a great.
And it was fun. It was not like a dark thing. It was a lot of fun. And Bucky's in it, and the Red Skull's in it, and I really liked that story.
And that's what I was kind of hoping when they brought out the second Captain America series called Sentinel of Liberty, and the whole aspect of that book was to do his World War II adventures, which I love World War II. So to see that. And I also wanted, to experience that unexperienced Cap. Right, getting his first adventures and getting his feet wet and finding his ground, finding his stride. And I thought, this is great. This is the Captain America book I want to read. And it never came to fruition. It's like the first issue was kind of close, and it just went and just dive bombed, and it just was terrible.
That run of Captain America that Mark Waid did after Heroes Reborn, I actually liked that, but it did end up fizzling out pretty badly within a year.
I mean,
once you interrupt something like that, it's just so tough.
I mean, it was strong when it first came back.
Yeah,
those first couple issues were like bam. I mean, you just had that feeling all over again. But then it just kind of slowly, shriveled, and it was one of those things again. I wonder if editorial, because you've had so many times with things with Mark Waid where you've had editorial problems, and when he gets, I know when he left the book of Captain America, that was why.
Yeah.
He would hand in scripts, and they changed a lot of his one story.
That one whole Red Skull story, they totally changed what he wrote.
And he just got pissed off and said, that's it, I'm done. And so I'm wondering...
And I think that was back in the day when editorial hands were a little more involved in comics.
More iron fist.
More iron glove, yeah.
I mean, even though they're the same now, but back then, I think that too many editors were trying to be writers.
Keeping the man down.
Keeping the weight down.
I like the... Part of that after Heroes Reborn was when he lost the shield.
Yeah.
And there was that one whole spot where he was just distraught over losing his shield. And it kind of fizzled when they brought that electronic holographic thing. I was crap.
Yeah. I like those Rob Liefeld issues. Those were great.
And that's why we don't talk to you.
Who are your favorite Captain America villains, other than the Red Skull?
Just the Red Skull?
That's the only one I know.
I have to say... And it's because of that Roger Stern, John Byrne, Baron Blood. I mean, he was a cool villain. He was not equal to, but he was maniacal and that type of level of a villain as Red Skull was in a way. And he had the whole thing with the invaders, so it wasn't just like
there was history.
There's history behind it. I love that.
Yeah, even though he's silly, I love Badrock Ziliper and I guess what was it, Machete and the other guy was like the saw blades on his arms, or he'd shoot the saw blades out. They were always cool, and Mr. Hyde I thought was kind of cool. Too. But
can you count Baron Zemo?
Yes, absolutely. Baron Zemo had a lot to do with
Mordo and all those guys.
MODOK.
Come
on, the big
giant.
What
does MODOK stand for, Peter?
Mobile organism designed only for killing, or something like that. Yeah.
I know designed only for killing part.
No, Baron Zemo has
a
hell of a history with Captain America.
Yep.
Even his son.
Yep.
Have brought into a time, and that's one of the things that that the first time I ever experienced Baron Zemo was his son, and it was one of those Power records back in 1974. You had a 45 record that came with a comic book, and it was all the sound effects, music, and the dialogue was all, and you just played along and turned the pages. And they did one with Captain America, and it happened to be this villain, which was called the Phoenix or something like that. And it was pretty lame until all of a sudden it was like, turned out it was Baron Zemo's son. And I was like, wow, that's cool. And it got me to, like, who's Baron Zemo? And I went back and found stuff with him. And
I had one of those with Spider-Man.
yeah, there was two Spider-Man, a Fantastic Four, a Hulk, Captain America.
With Man-Wolf, that's how I got to know who Man-Wolf was.
If anybody has any of those, like an MP3,
I still have them.
Yeah,
they're on 45. We'd have to.
My record player. I don't have a record player anymore, so.
Oh, I have a record player.
Yeah.
But if anybody has any of those on MP3 already, email them to us. We'd be curious to listen to.
I used to play those kind of things on my Winnie the Pooh record player.
I used to do it all the time. I'd go in my room, close the door, and I'd pull out my little 45 record player and pop them on there, and I'd be lost, for hours. I'd love them.
I'll tell you one Cap run that is, I think, perfect for Essentials right now. And we've talked about the writer, and we've talked about, I guess we really haven't talked about the artist, but Essential Invaders. That was Roy Thomas doing the writing, which, if you've read his All-Star Squadron and haven't read any of the other stuff he's done, he put the same love and effort. Research and effort into the Invaders, and it's basically Cap's story. It's Cap, Human Torch, Toro, Bucky, Namor, and they're fighting, in World War II, and it introduces, he said, Kevin said, Baron Blood. It introduces the first time they met Baron Blood, which Byrne and Stern picked up on and used in their run, and it's the artwork. I mean, it takes a little getting used to. It's Frank Robbins and Dick Sprang, so it's very, very dated artwork, but it's good stuff. I mean, I would love to see that as an Essentials, and it's really not that expensive to pick those stuff up at shows. I've seen those for maybe $1 an issue.
That's a good idea. I'll have to go on the website, the collected editions for Joe Quesada, and where you can request collected editions, and I'm going to request that because I'd love to read that. I'd love to pick that up as a volume and read it.
I was actually very surprised they didn't when they brought back the new Invaders.
Right.
I thought that was perfect time for them to do that, and they never got around to doing it.
So, what do you feel? Do you think the Ultimate Captain America has captured everything that you talked about?
I think so. Yeah, I totally enjoy that.
And that, to me, when I read the first run of Ultimates, that's the Captain America that I want to read. I mean, that captured every essence of that character and the true realistic aspects.
I was going to say that part of it, I don't think we've ever seen before.
No.
That the
man out of time
kicks the guy.
The no nonsense.
Right.
Oh
yeah.
Plus, his costume is way cooler than the regular Captain America costume.
Yeah, I like how they integrated a lot of army boots, belt.
It's new but old.
But I don't like these second Ultimates. I don't like that helmet chin strap kind of thing. To me, that's like going backwards kind of thing. But in the first volume of Ultimates, I love the costume.
I haven't read Ultimates 2 yet because I'm waiting for the hardcover.
I've just seen pictures. I haven't either, but I've seen pictures of it, and that's. But yeah, actually, that to me is like reading real Cap. To me, that to me is like really, really getting it as far as like having a man out of time and what his reactions would be and what would happen with that character.
Yeah, and they really, I will say, and not to give anything away, but they really do explore that a lot more in the second volume. The whole out of time, and Bucky's his only friend, the only guy he can really relate to, and it's. I agree. I mean, it's Cap. Everything you like about Cap, and it just rather than him suddenly adapting as quickly as he seemed to adapt to the modern world, it's him having trouble adapting to the modern world, where a world that he doesn't. These people don't have his values. These people, weren't brought up the way he was brought up, and he just, he fits in, but he doesn't fit in, and
Yeah, you take Captain America from the 40s, and then pop him into the 60s. Right. I mean, that just doesn't gel. You know what I mean? So I mean,
it'd be like throwing Jack Webb into the middle.
Right,
of,
exactly.
Well, and plus you can't get that with the Marvel Universe Captain America anymore because he's just been around too long. So they can't do stories like that anymore. Whereas in the Ultimates they can.
Well, and the Ultimates is the only Ultimate book that I get that I have enjoyed continuously. Like I've picked up an issue of Spider-Man here, or X-Men, and it's okay, but Ultimates is what I love.
Yeah, because we talked about this before. We're like, when you can get back to the core of what makes the character cool, the essence of Wolverine because you don't know his origin. Having Superman and Lois not married, but and she doesn't know his identity, and there's a triangle between Clark, Lois, and Superman. Well, when you have a Captain America that's out of time, that's the core of the character. That was part of what made him neat. And I'll tell you what, when he goes after Hank Pym.
Oh, you bet.
Oh. I mean, I thought I rooted for when he kicked whoever he kicked in the face, for those who haven't read it. But when he went after Hank Pym for what he did, I went, oh, wow! That I was rooting for him the whole way through.
Get your blood pumping.
Oh yeah, I'm getting chills now.
Yeah. And
Settle down, Peter.
And see, that to me, in the same relationship with a movie,
would work.
Yeah. And a Captain America has the potential to be equivalent to the first Superman movie. You can have every aspect of that character and capture it well with the music and everything, and it will have that resounding impact.
You're going to use the Superman music?
Well, I'm not saying you use that
Just
music.
kidding. I'm just
Could you imagine a scene like something out of the beginning of Saving Private Ryan, and then all of a sudden, coming through up the beach is running Captain America
that
with
little
his
bit of
shield.
color, having that bleached out look, and then all of a sudden having that color come from out of nowhere.
Or either all of a sudden, you
see
have
the shield just come
flying, flying back.
Now, would you?
And there it comes,
Would you want a Captain America? Because like one of the things that people put out there was like Matt Damon as Captain America. But would you want if they did a Captain America and he came into the future? Obviously, he had to go through a lot of the war, at least like 3-4 years of the war. Now, if he became Captain America when he was like 18, 19, he's going to be young. But would you want him to physically look at least older, like 30? Like, I can't see a guy that will go after a Hank Pym and be somebody like Matt Damon, and you would kind of be like, well, of course he would. But an older guy doing that, what I mean? It's a hard thing. What do you do with that?
You have to think back in those days. My mom comments on this all the time. How kids, when she was in high school, looked older. They acted older.
True. Yeah.
As opposed to kids in high school today look like kids. So you'd have to find someone who looks young enough but is older, but would play a 22-year-old.
Right.
Because
who knows what the super soldier serum has done?
Well, and the thing is that because they say like the super soldier serum, there's an option that can,
super soldier serum.
There's an option that can actually slow the aging process down as well. There is a possibility. But in what you had said, you could do that. You could functionally do that with a younger character and have it set back in World War II. And the time in the present, if you're going to have to do it in present time, so you're going to take it 60 years later. Even though he's in suspended animation, you can still age him a few years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he would still his body is still functioning. It's just on such a slow rate. So he's not going to age 60 years. He might age 5, 10 years.
A year for every decade or something.
Yeah, something like that. So, I mean, if he ages 6 years, he would be an older guy and have, more of that kind of stature when he is, back in the present day. But I think I think what they really could do with the character is really kind of use the symbolism of Captain America and use the morality sense of it to use it as a social kind of mirror. So that you can utilize that character to point out the things that we have as a society at this point, and which makes him more of a symbol, So
one of the things I thought was really cool that I read an Ed Brubaker interview. He said he bought some Captain America comics before he was writing this series. And the retailer or whoever he was buying it from said, the scene of Bucky's death was never played out in a comic book. It was a retcon. It was when he came back and joined the Avengers. Yeah, you learned what happened through a flashback.
Yeah.
And when I read that, I went, oh, that never dawned on me. That's exactly how it played out, which allowed him the freedom to kind of poke around with that story. So I thought that was interesting.
And we still haven't really found out the end of that.
Yeah,
so.
right, exactly.
And you talked about. Shit, now I just lost my place. God damn. Never mind. I lost my train of thought.
All right, fine.
Do we want to
You
wrap?
lose.
Yeah,
we'll wrap it up.
got an audio Stump the Rios, Peter.
Audio Stump the Rios.
Sweet.
Oh, here we go.
I'm Scott.
I'm Ty.
I'm Brad.
And we're View from the Cheap Seats, here with our special edition of Stump the Rios.
All right, Peter. Because we're getting ready to record an Avengers-themed podcast, we're going to hit you up with some Avengers questions. And
Brad will go first.
I'm going to go first here. My question is, as chronicled in issues 41 through 44 of the West Coast Avengers, the Vision was kidnapped, erased, and dismantled by an international coalition as part of Project Vigilance. The man in charge, Cameron Brock, was a member of what country and organization? And you can pause it now or whatever and come back.
How do you spell that?
Yeah, I don't think it's.
What country? Well, let's look at the time frame. Where is it? I'll say. I have no idea. Iran, the secret empire.
Jamie, do you know?
I've read those, but I honestly do not remember.
Back to us, and then I'll give you the answer. Okay, that was enough time.
Answers at the end.
But no, give me the answer now. It's fine.
Okay.
Okay, so assuming you've turned this back on, the answer is he was a member of the Canadian Secret Service.
Damn Canadians.
I knew I didn't like those Canadians. Okay, Ty, you're up.
Okay,
I
my
think that means he
question.
was from Canada then.
Well, you would.
Okay.
My
I
question's
guess so.
much simpler than Brad's little mini novel there.
Oh, come on.
The revelation of Bucky, of course, Captain America's sidekick, the revelation of his death was given in what issue of Avengers?
Number 4. When he first appeared. Quattro.
All right,
I think it was.
we're going with
Yeah, okay.
Okay, and that would be in Avengers Volume 1, number 4.
ding, 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 ding.
That should have been easy.
It threw me off because I thought it was a trick question myself.
All right.
You would.
I
You're a
was.
conspiracy
I was
theorist.
overanalyzing.
All right, Scott, you're up.
Okay, in Avengers Volume 1, issue 144, a longtime character makes their first time appearance as a hero. And what character did this
Walker Hellcat.
one character eventually go on to marry, and in what series title?
Wait, maybe I should hear that again. Shit.
Well, if you're right, then you know who it is.
Huh?
You know who she marries and who.
She married like Mad Dog, I think. Somebody named Mad Dog. Oh no, she married Damian Hellstrom.
Right.
Yeah, I was
That's
gonna say,
right, son of Satan. That's right. So
Son of Satan.
take one of those answers.
All right.
Ticking time. I'll give you a chance to answer.
Okay, Patsy Walker in Avengers 144 made her first appearance as the Hellcat, and she would later in Defenders go on to marry the son of Satan. A nice, simple wedding there.
The son of Satan.
Dun, dun, dun.
Sorry, I was channeling for a minute there. So anyway, we hope we stumped you. If not, oh well.
It is my belief that we have indeed stumped the Rios.
Dun dun dun. Okay, anyway, we'll cut this short. I'm Brad.
I'm Ty.
I'm Scott.
And we're View from the Cheap Seats at viewfromthecheapseats.blogspot.com. See you later.
You know, it doesn't look like you got up to the balconies, boys.
Ooh.
You talking nosebleeds? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I was gonna say
wow.
you're still stuck in the cheap seats.
Those were good questions.
Yeah, that last
Definitely.
question was really good.
Yeah.
I know you hate issue questions, but that
Yeah.
was.
Well, yeah.
when you-
I hate first appearance questions, so don't be sending me them. But
That Avengers 4 was kind of tricky because I was thinking myself, I'm thinking, well, they found him in 4.
Yeah, I wasn't
Did
sure
they
if you-
tell
Did they tell
him in
him?
4?
Yeah.
So.
All right, should we call somebody?
yeah.
All right, we're going to try Ryan Sorensen. We didn't try him before. I don't
No,
think that
name
sounds
doesn't
familiar.
sound
He's in Portland, Oregon, so it's good good time for him to call.
The rainy area. Everybody have their orders in for the month?
Nope,
Not yet.
I didn't place
Not me
mine
either.
yet. I have it done, but I haven't placed it
I have it written down.
Gotta add the Paul Pope Batman thing now.
yet.
Oh, I had that on there right from the start.
I'm debating about that
A
JSA
message
book.
for
I wanna
Ryan
get
or
it.
Abby.
Leave a message inside.
Hey, Ryan,
What's up?
you're supposed to answer your phone, man.
When you tell us you want us to call you,
You know what? And
You
since,
better be there.
since you're not there, we're going to talk to Abby. Hey, Abby.
Hello?
Oh!
Screening
the calls.
No, I wasn't screening. I just walked in from dinner.
What's going on?
What's up, fellas?
How you doing, man?
Pretty good. How you guys doing?
Very
Excellent.
well.
How was dinner?
Oh, it was good.
What'd you have?
Thai food.
Excellent.
Oh, sounds good.
Yeah. So what are you guys talking about?
Captain America.
Captain America?
Yes.
Yep.
Right on. Like just the regular Captain America or Ultimate's Captain America?
Both. We're doing like a spotlight on the character in general.
Oh, that sounds good.
Do you like Cap? Have you read a lot of Cap?
Yeah, I like mostly in Avengers and Ultimates. I haven't read that much solo stuff, but I always mean to check out that. Is it the Winter Soldier one?
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah, that's what everyone always says. So one of these days I'll pick that one up.
Cool.
Christmas is coming.
Yeah, maybe I'll add it to my list.
Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
I just go by it and wrap it up myself.
Maybe that's what I'll do.
That's the Shane method of Christmas.
Hey, Santa left a present for me.
I just bought a Back to the Future DeLorean, a 1/24 scale die-cast car. I'm like, screw it, I'll wrap it up.
Then you don't get disappointed on Christmas. You get everything
That's right.
you want.
Yeah.
I want to go to like Christmas at the Mulholland because I want to see if you actually like put on the act. Then it's like,
Oh yeah,
look
totally.
what I got.
I started doing this with my parents. I wrapped up video games. I'm like, great, how did you know? And they'd be like looking at each other. Well, I'm glad you like it. Did you get that for him?
So what are you reading these days?
Well, actually, I've been reading. I went to the library and checked out the Doom Patrol archives because they cost too much for me to buy. So I've been going through those and just weekly stuff too. You know.
Cool.
Cool.
Are you on the forum at all?
Yeah, actually, I'm Repugnus on the forum.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You got the Spider Ham avatar up there.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Nice choice, buddy.
Yeah, well, everyone loves him.
I just noticed that his nose has
Has
the
the eye
actual
symbols, yeah.
the face of Spider-Man.
You didn't
I
see
just-
that before? All these
I've
years.
just been waiting for him to do the
I love
ultimate
Peter
version
Parker.
of
I
him.
still have the issues.
Say that again?
I've just been waiting for him to do the ultimate version of Spider-Man.
No. Just do the further adventures of Peter Porker.
Yeah, exactly.
Ultimate Spider Ham and Howard the Duck.
Yeah.
I'll start an e-petition for that.
There you go.
So what's been taking up your time there? Are you getting ready for the holidays?
Yeah, just that pretty much, and working and reading comics.
Where do you work? What do you do?
I do apartment maintenance, so lots of days are slow, and I can sit around and mess around on the internet or read comics or whatever.
Excellent.
As long as no one I work with is listening to this.
Who's Abby?
Oh, that's my girlfriend.
Cool.
Is she there?
Yeah, she's here.
Can we talk? Can you put her on?
I don't know if she will, but I'll see. Hey, Abby, do you want to be on it?
It's a whole new tradition now.
That's an extra part.
Hello?
To
Hello, Abby.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Do you read
Good, how are
comics
you?
too?
What's that?
Do you read comics too?
I do, but I usually just read the ones that he recommends.
Well, what have you read recently?
Well, I'm reading a creepy that he got me at. Did you get that at Comic-Con?
Mm-hmm.
That he got me at Comic-Con.
Cool.
So I just like the horror comics.
Uh-huh.
Does that spill over like into movies and things like that too?
Yeah.
What's your favorite horror movie?
I don't really have favorites. That's the thing. I like The Preacher a lot. That's not a movie.
The comic?
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, that's a favorite of everyone in this room.
Yeah, that's a great choice.
Yeah. That's really good.
How was dinner?
What's that?
How was dinner?
It was great.
Were you guys celebrating something or just going out for the heck of it?
We're just going out for the hell of it.
Cool.
Good.
You want to talk to Ryan again?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, hang on.
We'll let you off the hook.
All right, you guys embarrassed her.
Hey, she likes Preacher. How can you complain?
And she
Yeah, actually, she read it before I did. She's the one that turned me on to it.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
so
the first time I think I've heard that.
Now that's a woman. That's all I gotta say.
Exactly.
That was Tasha's first comic.
It's an interesting one to jump in with.
I was waiting for her to say something, and she totally spaced out.
That was my first comic.
Oh, okay.
What do you want me to say about it? It was good. Hi, Ryan.
Hello.
Anything you want to say? You want to quick talk about?
Proposal?
Well, no, I'm just looking forward to Wednesday this week because I've seen that Infinite Crisis is coming out and Green Lantern and like 10 books I read are all coming out on the same day. So
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you want to do a quick off the rack?
Well, you know what? I read last week. I got the Bad Planet. Do you guys read that one?
No.
Who's that by?
God, I don't have it in front of me, but I think that I want to say Image put it out. It's like a sci-fi kind of thing, and if I had it in front of me, I could tell you who did it. But it was a pretty good read. So.
Are you getting Fear Agent?
No, I haven't read that. Should I be?
If you like sci-fi, if you like, it's Tony Moore, the artist on the first Walking Dead trade.
Oh yeah.
And if you like,
I like Walking Dead.
If you like the pulps, it's kind of like a mixture of sci-fi, pulp. They talk about it's like a mixture of a whole different kind of genres.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll have to pick that. Is it a trade or is it just?
I think it's up to issue 2 right now, and eventually I'm sure they'll get a trade out.
Yeah, two just came out this week.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well then I'll have to check it out. They probably still have one on the rack then still.
Cool.
But that sounds pretty cool. But yeah, other than that, I just probably been reading the regular stuff that everyone else reads. So nothing too out of the ordinary.
Nothing wrong with that as long as you're reading.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Are you going to be at San Diego this year?
Oh yeah, I'll be there. Actually, last year I went for the first time, and I was like, whoa, I've been missing out. So
Yeah, it's just like Jamie and Tosh and I are just completely blown away. So
yeah. So I only got to go for one day last year. So
man,
I barely got to walk around the whole thing one time.
Yeah,
So
that's hard.
So this year I'll go for like 3 or 4 days for sure. So
You can't even begin to digest it in one day.
no, I was kind of just like because I've been to tons of cons here in Portland, Oregon, where I am, and it's a whole different thing. There it was like here I can walk through the whole thing, get everything I want, and be gone in like an hour and a half. But there it was like. Yeah, you have to have like a game plan when you walk in the door.
Yeah.
I was just like lost the whole time.
You need your map and a highlighter
Exactly.
and a compass.
Yeah, and I thought I'd be able to, go.
I think with the size of it now, you just need a whole GPS system.
That's right. Yeah, forget it. Just have the coordinates on the map.
That's what I'll do next year then.
The booth 129 is at so much longitude. And
Right, exactly. That's what you need. Cool. Well, we'll see you there.
Right on, guys.
All
right. Well, you have a great holiday, and we'll see you on the forum.
Right on, guys. Happy holidays.
All right. Bye-bye.
Cool.
Yeah, that new sub-segment of getting the girls on, that's funny.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It's how coincidental is that, that you're calling these people at whatever time you're calling them, and primarily most of the times you're catching them with their significant other.
Yeah. And just the fact she read Preacher first, that's amazing.
I haven't really been listening because I only listen when I'm on the shows, but
that's pretty.
I know.
Jeez.
I only listen when I'm here.
Has gone to her.
But when you call up and talk to the girlfriends, do most of them read comics or?
Yeah,
not
I
really?
think everyone we've gotten so far has
read something. Yeah.
That's cool.
They usually read what he's reading. Or
Exactly.
That's why it was so unusual that she's the one that read Preacher before him. So.
Yeah.
Cool.
Do we want to do an off the rack or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys think of something that you can talk about?
Tasha, have you read anything recently that you either liked or didn't like, or?
The last trade I read was Why the Last Man. The most recent one.
Girl on girl.
Yeah, girl on girl.
And it's still good?
I'm loving that book. It's awesome. It's one my favorite right now, I think. I always get excited when it comes out. And I read that, and I finally read the first issue of Girls by the Luna Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really good. I want to check out the rest of it.
Cool.
It was interesting.
Great.
So.
I just read, I was a little behind, but I recently read the Green Lantern Rebirth hardcover. And I I liked it. I mean, I know that I think the reaction in the general public was that it was good, and the new series that continues the story is good as well, or whatever. But I mean, I hadn't had hardly any exposure to Green Lantern other than whatever his appearances in JLA were, and I didn't know any of the other Green Lanterns. I didn't know what that what's that, Kilowog, or what the heck's that guy's name, or or any of those other.
Gotta love Kilowog.
I had never seen any of those characters before, so it was cool. I really enjoyed it, and it made sense. How Jordan came back and all that stuff. So I thought it was very good. I'd probably give it a 4.5 freckin' Sweers.
Did you like the aspect of the Green Lantern Corps, like because that's something that's kind of unique to the DC universe. The idea that there's more than one.
There's the same hero in multiple versions or whatever.
Like a police force and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that was cool. I mean, I got that because I actually read, some issues of the Showcase Green Lantern before I read this, and so I was exposed to that there. Only say 5 issues until I read this hardcover. So, but it was it is a cool concept.
It's a cool concept for me. It's just that I don't like it so. I like when it's kind of something that happens every once in a while, like it comes into the book every so often. Like every time I read the Green Lantern Corps book, when it used to be out, it just kind of got downtrodden for me. It was. I like it in small doses. I like that aspect of it, but I don't like it around all the time. I don't think a lot of the characters that are in the Corps are interesting enough to carry it as a continuous book.
Do you mean the one that came after, like, out of Legends or whatever? That was When they were all on Earth?
When they were all on Earth and you saw all that stuff. I didn't like that. I like that each Green Lantern has a sector, and if you're going to tell stories, it's them in that sector.
Right.
Except for there's maybe that time when he gets called to help somebody else or vice versa. Then it's cool. I like that aspect of it. I don't like when they're all over the place and all the time and conglomerated and...
Like all on Earth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I liked in this how they showed, and I talked about this a little bit before, how they showed each Green Lantern using his power in a different way when they all attacked. Who the heck were they attacking?
Parallax.
Oh yeah, I don't remember that shit. Whatever.
A little guy known Parallax. Big
point of the
guy.
story.
Whole point of the story.
I don't remember. I just remember that they used their powers in a different way.
It kind of takes a little credibility away.
Hey, I read it and I enjoyed it.
At least I read it.
I can't be bogged down in these details.
That's my job.
Green Lantern, I think, was his name.
There was definitely a color theme going. For me, I'm just trying to finish Animal Man for Book of the Month. The other thing that I did start to read, which the rest of you, I think everybody else had read it, was Top Shelf's The King, and I got about halfway through that. I was just flipping through all the trades, and I thought, well, I'm just going to start reading it. And I got about halfway through before I had to go do something else, and I really liked it. Mm-hmm. It was great.
Yeah, that's a. I think people have picked up on it in the forum too. There's somebody mentioned that they picked it up at a con or something like that.
And I am not an Elvis Presley fan by any stretch of the imagination, other than a couple select songs. But
and you don't need to be to
read
it, right?
No, absolutely not.
Yep.
No.
I just finished reading the last 3 issues of New Avengers, which finished the Ronin arc, which was all right. It was to me the least enjoyable, I guess, arc out of New Avengers so far. It was still a good read. I'd still give it like about 3.5. Mm-hmm. And of course, it's that ongoing thing with the whole Ronin thing, with how deceiving the artwork was, who the character was, and such. Right. And I can understand that. There's one thing about having a female in a padded costume, and there's another thing that just totally is displacent from what you're setting up to do. I thought it was cool that he used her as a character. I thought it was neat that he slid her in there to utilize her as a character in that story. So I think it was neat. I'm glad it wasn't Daredevil. Thank God, that didn't take place.
I mean, without giving away who it is, how many theories did we come up with just that one night?
Just that one night, you and I sat and talked, and it was like this, that, and the other thing. So, and that's cool. I like that. You know, I like making you think. You know, that's part of reading for me. I think it's if you just read it and you just read it. I like when you can read it and there's some things that are thrown in there that make you have to either maybe go check something else out and you know try to figure things out. To me, that gets you involved as a reader. You know, if you can read that and have that not happen, then you're losing something. There's something not there for you. But it's still a good book. It's still one of my favorite Marvel books. It's still a good read. I'm very much looking forward to how it set up. What I really loved, though, was the Viper, Madam Hydra aspect with Spider-Woman. Because, again, that's my character. So with that history that she has, and they're setting up to the next 2 issues with her as a spotlight and, you know, whose side she on. You know, that you have the dual influence with her, so this whole mystery behind her as well. So I enjoyed that aspect of it as well, and it's neat to see the Silver Samurai, and you know the battle was cool. So there was good aspects about it, but it didn't have as much of a lift for me as everything else that I read up to that point. So, and that's just my opinion.
Sure. Anybody else, or is that it?
That's kind of it for me. I mean, I with Christmas and everything coming up right now, I have little enough time to. I'm going to struggle to get this Animal Man.
Excuses.
Shut up. I'm going to have enough trouble getting this Animal Man done, so I just haven't been able to read a whole lot lately.
Cool.
Yeah. Are we wrapping it up, or do you?
Do you have any voicemails or anything, or nothing?
Oh, I could download one of those, I suppose.
I guess we can do that.
I could do that.
I guess we could do that.
I suppose.
It'd take me a second to download here.
What's coming out this week? Is there something that anybody is, except for Identity?
Right.
I mean that's like totally not even a question. But I mean, is there something else that somebody else is looking forward to? Something.
Does the second?
I haven't checked the list yet.
When does the second? Deadly Genesis.
That's
Deadly
this week.
Genesis. I want to get that.
That's this week too.
I just read your
There's a lot of books
issue of that, and damn it, you know, it's good. Did you like it?
Yeah, I think I did. I know that sounds weird.
I sort of did.
That's one hell of a review.
Because the initial push of it on the forum when people were talking about it, and then I read some interviews and I went, oh, okay, yeah, I want to see this. I'm gonna read it, and I read the first issue, and now that you mentioned it, and at the time I was like, yeah, good, yeah, like it, okay. But now that you said that, I'm kind of I need to read the second issue now. Like it needs to.
Right.
It needs to build, I think, and so I don't want to prejudge it just yet, even
it's
with
got
the
high
first.
Hopes, though.
Yeah, it has
For
some
an X-Men
interesting.
book, you know.
Yeah,
It's set up an interesting premise, and I agree with you. I want to see where they go with it and what they do.
To me, it was kind of an unusual thing that I just didn't expect Brubaker on X-Men. You know what I mean? That's something that.
And now he's going to be on.
And now he's going to be
yeah,
Uncanny. So I'm really kind of looking forward to it. I'm hoping it does work.
It's the kind of thing that it's because there's so many theories about the book that it could really work or it could really tank.
But that can happen.
But,
I mean,
which is the potential of anything.
Anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm interested.
Well, and since we've done the whole House of M read, my whole attitude towards X-Men has done a complete 180 compared to the last few years, which I like. And this is just another book to pick up and read, and I enjoyed the first edition. I can't wait to get the next one.
Right.
See, and I think this is something that, with Joe Quesada, as far as being an editor-in-chief and looking at trying to do things with these books and trying to get them solid and trying to get good books out again, putting Brubaker on X-Men was something I would have never thought of doing, because you look at his history of the books that he's written, and that's just totally not something that he's really focused as far as a writer has before. But to throw him on this book and with kind of what's been reflected back so far is very interesting. I'm more hyped up about the whole mutant line, you know, now after House of M and Decimation, now knowing that Brubaker is going to be handling, you know, a good majority, the major focus, Uncanny X-Men, with this is mind-blowing. I'm really looking forward to it.
It is kind of funny that I almost think of this miniseries as the flagship X-Men book right now. Even beyond all the Decimation stuff and with Astonishing X-Men coming back, I almost see this as the most important focus point. Yeah.
It probably is. All right, here then. Let's get the voicemail.
Hey guys, this is Gus Chavez. I'm calling in from Tucson, Arizona. I'm just calling to give you a little feedback on your show. First of all, I want to say I love it. You guys were really instrumental in pulling me back into comics. Your show is just real funny, hilarious. I do want to offer a couple queries, quibbles, and complaints regarding your show, though. First of all, the only complaint I can really give you guys is I've gotten more than a couple strange looks here at work when I listen to your show, and especially during your giant-sized issue. I think it was Jamie was going off about the movie critic, and you guys just kind of streamed all his little rants together. I was laughing so hard. People walked in, I kind of explained what was going on, and it's kind of hard when you're doubled over your workstation. I just had a couple questions. First of all, I know you guys say you try to work in a little bit of Marvel Comics. I'm a bit of a Marvel zombie myself, and I was just wondering, you guys do seem to focus a lot on DC, and I know they got a lot going on, a lot of quality stuff going on. I do read some DC. I was just wondering if you guys could work in a little more Marvel Comics now and then. I think they have a lot of interesting things to discuss, such as I know Bendis seems to almost secretly handling all their continuity over there these days. Just want to know what you guys think about one writer having that much power over particular companies, at least story-wise. Also, I kind of wanted opinions on any characters you think, like C or lower-level characters, that you think have a lot of potential that either company doesn't really use. I would say one of my favorites would have to be Darkhawk, who I don't know why. I love him as much as I do, but I do. Colossus from the X-Men, I think, has been greatly underused and poorly written, and even his limited series coming out right now, I find myself pretty disappointed with. That's all. Just want to say, guys, a good job, great show. And hopefully I've listened for a long time. That's all.
Well, this episode was all about Marvel, so I think we fulfilled his dream. There you go.
Well, and it seems to be, even on the forum, that this running theme that we're so DC-focused. And
I don't see it.
I'm a comic reader, but I love Marvel comics, and that's who I've always been enjoyed the most. However, I do read DC as well. But I kind of feel we're giving equal attention. It just seems that, I don't know, there's some reason that they're perceiving that we focus more on DC and not Marvel.
Well, and especially now more than ever, we're giving focus on Marvel. I just don't see it anymore.
Yeah. And it's to answer his question about which second or third string character, I think the beauty of that is you can take any character. You can take the worst character ever created, and with a skillful writer, he can be the greatest character.
I love Speedball.
I'm kidding. Come on.
I know.
Well, they just had an article I was reading in issue 12 of Back Issue, all about the Calculator. Yeah. How he was a joke.
I'm just going to say that, the Calculator.
And then now he's like the information broker of the DC universe for villains. He's like the Oracle kind of for DC's villains. Well, there you go. So Brad Meltzer said, I'm going to take this stupid little worthless character and turn him into a really cool character.
See, and that's why I like to view things. There is no such thing as B or C or 2 or 3 tier character, because every character has the potential to be a cool character.
Absolutely.
So if you look at it as second, third string, fourth string, way out in left field type character, you're already limiting that character.
Right.
You have to break that mold and look at it. Each character has the ultimate potential to do anything just as cool as the characters that are out in main focus right now.
I will say on DC's side, a lesser used character in the last few years was Booster Gold, and I'm very interested to see what he's going to bring to Infinite Crisis, given his little page in Infinite Crisis 2. Yeah, Marvel, I can't think of anybody in Marvel.
I'll throw
Moon Knight.
He's coming. Relax.
Spider-Man.
Oh,
if I didn't say that,
yeah, Cloak and Dagger.
Cloak and Dagger, I love.
Cloak and Dagger, I'll give you that. Yeah.
I want a good book.
Yeah.
That's who I think like Brubaker would be cool on a book like that. I think those two characters would shine under Brubaker.
And they were supposed to do something with Falcon, but I don't know whatever happened to that.
Yeah. Well, that was supposed to be the Christopher Priest book. He was going to continue on from Captain America Falcon, but it was going to be focused on Falcon, and it just kind of fell off the face of the earth.
It will be interesting because at the end of the I don't know if it's the most current issue of Cap, but Falcon shows up, so I'm looking to see what they do with him.
Cool.
With Ed Brubaker with Falcon.
Well, that about wraps us up. A reminder that this episode of Comic Geek Speak was brought to you by Drawer Boxes, the ultimate solution for your comic storage. You can check them out at collectiondrawer.com. And if you would like to send us an email, you can do so, comicgeekspeak@gmail.com. check out our website, comicgeekspeak.com, and check out our forum, where we have a lively discussion all day long. And literally all day long. Thanks to upallnightgaming.com for hosting the website. We have some new t-shirts available on the swag section of our website. A reminder that we're brought to you in conjunction with worldfamouscomics.com, your spot on the internet for the best comic book and entertainment-related columns, contests, features, reviews, news, resources, and more. And as always, we are uniting the world's mightiest heroes, one listener at a time.